Sarah here, and I remember a time not long ago when my Sundays were dictated by scriptures, my beliefs by dogma, and my spiritual world felt very incredibly small. Every prayer was structured, every doubt suppressed. Then something shifted. For Izzy, it was the quiet pull towards her ancestors. For me, it was the undeniable call of intuition, guiding me away from the familiar and into the unknown. We both ended up in places we never expected, trading hymns for hexes and sermons for spirit work.
Welcome to Just Another Statistic, hosted by Sarah and Izzy. This is where we lay bare our deconstruction from Christianity and our vibrant, sometimes challenging transition into witchcraft and personal spirituality. We're here to share the blueprint of our spiritual rebuilding, one honest conversation at a time. Whether you're someone who diligently attended church for decades, or you've always felt a magnetic pull towards something other, this podcast is for you. We'll explore the hows and whys of our journey, discussing everything from finding new community to understanding ancient practices and navigating family dynamics. Our goal is to connect through our stories, acknowledge that while our paths are unique, the quest for authentic spirituality is a universal human experience. Join us as we explore the rich tapestry of spirituality beyond the statistics.
Before we begin, we want to share a brief but important note. To protect the privacy and identities of everyone involved, we will not be using the real names of people or churches in our stories. We also want to acknowledge that every story has at least two sides, and what you're about to hear is simply our story, sharing our experiences from our unique perspective. We've dedicated a lot of time to healing from these experiences and will continue this journey. And we sincerely wish nothing but love and light for all the individuals whose paths have intersected with ours.
All right. This is going to be a tough one, so please take time and space for yourselves. I think me and Sarah are also going to be very gentle with ourselves going through this. We're talking about mental health and more specifically how the church treats mental health as a sin or as a non-issue, and just how our mental health got reacted to in the church. And we've broken it up by segments. So we have like childhood trauma, childhood understandings. I think both of our experiences are very different with mental health. They come together in some places, but I think for this one we've had pretty different experiences with it.
I would say so.
And then mental health as adults and in the church, and then coming as we were exiting the church as well. So we're going to break it up into segments like that. So we often talk about our deconstruction as adults, but the seeds were planted much earlier. I want to go back to when you were a child and your aunt passed away by suicide. Can you take us back to that specific moment you realized your aunt was gone, and how did the church community explain her death to you as a child?
So I must have been 4, maybe. So I was quite young. And
was that like 1990?
1990, see, I was 4, so it was like 1995.
Okay.
90, yeah. But I think it was like around 1995. This was my first experience with death. I don't have a lot of memories with my aunt. Now, this is an aunt from my father's side, and my father had 7 brothers and sisters. So this is one of, if I remember correctly, she's one of the younger siblings.
And your grandfather, who you've spoken about in previous episodes, his child.
His child. Okay. It wasn't really explained to me that it was more explained to me that she was sick. Not like And it was an invisible sickness. It wasn't like she had cancer or anything like that. It was more like she had an invisible sickness and she lost that fight from the invisible sickness. But it wasn't really addressed what was the problem. And it wasn't until many years later that I heard more about it from my mom. But like as a child, it felt like it was swept under the rug. It wasn't addressed, especially back in the 90s, back in, the 80s and 90s. We didn't talk about mental health.
Yeah.
Like at all. In public, it was always hush hush. You didn't talk about it. It was, oh, they're taking care of their problem. And then you brush it aside. So I don't know if she actually ever got the help she needed. I know she asked for it, but I don't think she ever got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the seeds that kind of stuck with me growing up. I never saw mental health was never talked about, but suicide itself, you hear suicide as a sin because you're hurting yourself and it's a sin against God, right? Taking your own life. I never saw it that way.
Yeah.
Because I saw the sadness of my aunt and she didn't get the help she needs. So she thought the easiest way out was just to end it. So that one's hard because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
Like it was over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you don't have those memories. But yeah, that's for me. I think it was brushed around as sugar coated, and it wasn't really addressed. So,
do you feel like your family later is like you were more aware of the conversation and what it was actually around? Do you feel like there was maybe sadness around the fact that she wasn't in heaven because of, or did they, because I feel like for me when I was a kid, the whole suicide thing kind of flopped back and forth depending on who I was talking to. Some people believed that you can't go to heaven, and then other people didn't agree with that. So I felt like I always got mixed with that.
Inside the family, that's really hard because they didn't speak about her much at all. Like after her services and everything, like I think the person that spoke to me most about her is my mom. That was her sister-in-law, not her family. Grew up with them. I think I think from like family-led perspective, she was in heaven. Personal perspectives, I think there was differing opinions on where she ended up. Or I guess one way would be to think about it, because in Christian mythos, after the second coming of Christ and judgment happens, then you get your rewards.
Right.
So I think someone explained to me that she's just going to be missing out on some of her rewards because she took her own life. So that was kind of, I think, the approach to it. Okay. She's still in heaven, but like there was something missing or she didn't get because of it.
Did those early religious explanations make you feel like mental health wasn't a medical struggle, but a spiritual failure or a sin?
I think because of my upbringing, like it started, like it was, okay, that's how we're going to explain it, but I didn't fully accept it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll go along with it because I'm a child and you're the adult. And you listen, you don't speak as a child. And I think my mom instilled in me critical thinking. And so there was always a nagging in the back of my head of like, how could this be a sin? Or how could she not be in heaven if she believed in Christ? And it was like, there's that verse that, once you're in his hands, nobody can snatch you out of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that includes killing yourself,
Yeah.
taking yourself out. So the contradictory language and messaging were there, and I was just like, I don't think I believe that.
Yeah.
I just kept quiet about it.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Yeah, well, I think it's also hard because societally at a time, nobody was really talking about mental health then either.
Mhm.
So it's hard to examine it in a church. Like it's easier now to examine it because society is so open about mental health now to an extent. But then it really, like society wasn't even willing to have that conversation. So
yeah, again, you didn't talk about it. Like we knew it happened, but you don't talk about it.
yeah. That's all I have for you from childhood.
I do. Can you recall a specific moment or conversation when your anxiety was explicitly labeled as a sin or spiritual failing?
I didn't really realize how bad my mental health was until I became an adult. And now, like, looking back on it, like, obviously, like, I was extremely depressed and stuff. But the big conversation that I remember having was with my mentor when I was like 20 or 21. I don't know, I think we had been together at least a year, if not longer at that point. And I think she was getting frustrated because she wasn't fixing me. Like being in the Bible, praying to God, doing all of these things wasn't making me better. And I think she got frustrated with it. So she changed tactics.
Yeah.
Out of frustration to going to you're sinning. Your anxiety is a sin because you're not trusting in God. And looking back on it now, I can't like be angry at her about it because she wasn't prepared. She didn't have the education, she didn't have the resources, she didn't have the help that she needed to deal with somebody who had the mental health issues that I do. And I think it was wrong of the church to require that of her. But that was the big one of somebody telling me that this is a sin. Before that, it like mental health wasn't talked about, not in my family, not in the community that I was around. When I was like in middle school, high school, between the ages of like 10 and 13, maybe even 15, I would say, but I don't know, like preteen is really when I remember it being a thing, is like a whole bunch of girls that I knew, my best friend at the time included, like cutting themselves was, I don't want to say like popular, but it was the popular thing for like kids to do at the time who were hurting, was to cut themselves. And I remember like that being a thing and me being scared, that knowing that my best friend was doing that, to the point where I was like, I told her like, you need to stop or I'm going to tell your mom, which she did, or at least she stopped telling me that she was doing it. That was like the most that I had gotten like any kind of interaction with. And I remember when I had talked to my mom about it, my mom freaked out and thought that my best friend had made it up and was lying to me. And I was like, no, mom, she showed me her scars. Like something's happening to her. If she's not doing it to herself, then somebody else is doing it to her. But I don't remember my mom ever like talking to anybody about it or going to the church. I think she just kind of stopped talking about it. So that was, I don't know, that was like my experience with mental health issues, was that it was like rebellious kids that had mental health issues. It was the kids that couldn't just be obedient to their parents, who had issues and mental health issues. And I remember we've talked about this in the past, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, how like when I was younger, I felt like I needed people to see my pain. And that's kind of what I saw cutting as. And I did try to cut myself one time, and I was really stupid about it. And I cut my palm. I don't know why I chose my palm, but I cut my palm. And I remember being really angry at myself afterwards. And my automatic reaction was like, how selfish are you to think that people need to see your hurt? Like, how selfish are you to put that on other people? And I never did it again. So, yeah, that was like my
your introduction, if you will.
Yeah, my introduction to, all of that.
I think this is a question for later. Transition into adulthood. So yeah, you talked about really coming into knowledge of what mental health was in your later life, in your 20s. Teens, I would say teens and 20s.
Late teens.
Late teens. Was there a specific moment when you're like, so that's what that is? Or this is what I'm dealing with?
I can't remember really. I'm sure I probably heard about it from my sister, but I can't like remember a specific moment. I remember like depression was a big word. So I think I started feeling like maybe I was depressed. Anxiety wasn't even really on my radar until I started talking to a therapist. And then I kind of realized like, oh, I have so much anxiety that it causes depression. But yeah, I can't remember talking about it with anybody. But I do remember after I had gotten diagnosed, I told my parents. And my dad made fun of me. My dad, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he was like, how do you know you're depressed? And I'm like, because I don't want to be alive. And he laughed at me. And I think that was just because I'm sure he probably has felt that way much of his life too, but has never been able to talk about it. So it was just, that was his way of masking
the I've heard that way too.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say it.
Yeah, and my parents are really weird about mental health stuff. Like even to this day, they'll be like, "Yeah, I have issues, but you won't ever hear me say it out loud." And they wear that like with a badge of pride that they don't talk about what's wrong with them, even though they know there's stuff that's wrong with them. Yeah, that was that. Okay. You don't have any more questions about childhood stuff, do you?
No.
Okay. In 2020, you faced the loss of your uncle, and you were an adult then and a leader in the church. How did the church's expectations for you to remain in service and keep your walk strong conflict with your human need to mourn?
This one's actually was easier because by that time I had left megachurch number 2. Because he passed in May. Yeah, he passed in May. And I was already out of leadership at that point. I was attending the raft, but digitally because it was COVID. So social distancing, everything was either outside or online.
Right.
So May, it was probably, we were going between online and outside and doing the social distancing thing and wearing masks. I think this one was easier to grieve because I didn't have the pressures of being a leader at that time. When I left Mega Church number 2, I was so exhausted. And I was like, I can't be pouring into students or other people right now because I am so broken. So I think I had the more freedom to grieve him. But that one was such a shock that I had a break. Because, yep, this one's going to get me. So my uncle was my godfather. And to kind of preface how important he was to me, I always had the dream of when I walked down the aisle and got married, he was going to be one of the people giving me away. When my mom told me that he died, it was first thought that he took his own life as well. Later, according to the coroners and everything, that was said that that's not how it happened, and that he had like a heart attack or something. But they also said he had COVID at the same time. So how much I trust the coroners at that point in time,
Yeah.
not great. And my aunt also has some big suspicions that he might have still taken his own life. But when my mom told me that he was gone and that it was suspected that he took his own life, I literally broke. I was like in denial, immediately denial, and was like, no, this can't happen. No way he did that to himself. He can't be gone. And to the point that I used our safety word with people in the church that I counted as friends at that point. And I got a text message from Sugar Cube, expressing her condolences. And then I got a phone call from the couple. And they were together at that point, and they were like, we're coming to get you. And because I was blubbering, and I was like, I can't even speak. And I was like, I was just told my uncle took his own life, and I can't deal right now, and I can't be here right now. And so they came and got me, and we just drove around town, and we got Duncan, and we talked about it. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with work, and I can't do this right now. And they were very supportive with how my grieving in that point. And they were like, take the week off. Like, call your manager right now. Mm-hmm. Take the week off. Don't push yourself through this. And I think in that one moment, I felt supported by the church and my friends.
Yeah.
Because they rallied around me. This one's hard. Mm-hmm. But they rallied around me and allowed me to break. They didn't shame me for breaking. They didn't brush me off. They literally stayed with me for hours until I was okay to go home. And I was like, this is what community is. This is what community is. It's doing life together. It's when someone's hurting, you go sit with them in a park and drink Dunkin' Donuts and cry if you need to cry. And they just sat there with me. They didn't try to make me, they did make me laugh, but they didn't try to make me feel anything. They just let me feel. On the other hand, unfortunately, the way Sugar Cube came off on it was, oh, I'm sorry. And then that was it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I also felt like, because I left Megachurch number 2, but my mom was still at Megachurch number 2, she put in a prayer request for the family. Mm-hmm. Through their prayer ministry.
Guess which was run by Mr. Grace.
Yes. And instead of sending condolences to my family, he sent condolences to just me. And I found that very manipulative. Mm-hmm. So in my grief and dealing with suicide, my own mental break at that point, I felt slightly abandoned. I felt supported. And then I felt manipulated.
Yeah.
Because the letter that Mr. Grace sent just felt like he was trying to wiggle his way back into my life. Mm-hmm. As if he didn't know that we were all pissed off at him at that point. And I was like, you were a very manipulative, power-hungry man, and now you're coming here trying to be like all sensitive.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about it too, and like just how disrespectful towards your mom it was as a member of the congregation. Still, she got completely ignored.
Yeah. But I get a letter.
Yeah. Yeah. It tells you where their priorities are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a gambit.
Yeah.
For sure on that one. The funny thing is, my brother was in Texas at the time, and I felt more support from his church in Texas than I did
Yeah.
from mega church number 2.
Yeah.
That felt very manipulative, but his church rallied around him and our family. Those people didn't know me.
Yeah.
They didn't know me like I knew a couple of people there. But that was a time I remember my brother was doing like daily little messages because it was COVID, so we couldn't really connect with people. He got online and cried.
Yeah.
And people were there being very supportive.
Yeah.
Because of the loss of my uncle. And so there was a very mixed bag of responses to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's beautiful moments in our experience with the church too. And I think I don't even remember hearing about it. I don't think we were talking really at the times because I don't remember hearing about it until almost a year after
Mm-hmm.
when we were living together and you were going through it again that I understood. But I've always admired the depth of love that people can feel. And sometimes it feels like you don't really know how deeply you love somebody until they're gone.
Yeah.
So seeing how much you loved him is really beautiful.
He wasn't the best man, but he was great in my eyes.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. Your turn. Okay. You said something earlier, and I wanted to jump off on that. You said you started going to therapy, and was that therapist a Christian therapist? No, they were a secular therapist.
Yeah. And I went to somebody who specifically dealt with child's trauma or adults who were dealing with childhood trauma. So I was going to a child therapist pretty much at the time.
What was the reaction of the church to going to therapy outside of the church?
The amount of times that I got told that I needed to talk to a Christian was crazy. The amount of times that they told me like that she was going to try to steer me away from my faith. And I think I remember having a conversation with her where she was like, "Do you think that you wanting to leave the church?" And I was like, "No, I'm a Christian. I'm not." And she was like, "Okay." She was like, "I'm just asking. Well, we won't touch that again." Looking back on it, she saw the damage the church was doing to me. But when I said I'm not ready for that, she was like, "Okay, this is what you believe. I understand."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got told so many times that I needed to talk to somebody like my mentor, an unlicensed person, an unlicensed, uneducated person. Yeah, that was the big reaction, was like somehow therapy was going to destroy my faith.
And how did that message impact the understanding of your faith and your mental health?
I think that was just another one of those stepping stones to me leaving. I learned so much from the first couple of therapists that I had. I learned that I have an anxiety disorder. And it's not a little anxiety disorder. It's crazy how bad it is. I learned that I was just depressed. I learned that I had PTSD. I learned that I'm a highly sensitive person. I learned that I'm codependent, which isn't to say, like, look at me, look at all the issues I have. It's more to be like, oh, I was finally able to understand how I was reacting to the world and people around me and able to then manage it with tools. Because you know, you have a cough and you don't know if it's allergies or a cold or just a tickle in your throat. You can't really address it. You just have to, you just keep coughing. But then when you know what's causing it, you can address it. And sometimes you still cough, but you know how to help yourself. So I feel like that's what it was. And the church, I feel like, treated it as an admittance to failure. Like I was admitting that God wasn't enough for me.
Mm.
And that was really frustrating to feel like I had a personal relationship with God, but that my mental health was keeping him away from me. And like, speaking of the couple, I remember like sitting down with her and talking, because it was like the start of us having issues and me noticing she was pulling away from me. And I went and sat down with her and I asked her if she thought I was too much, because that's what I had been told all growing up. Is I got told that I was hard to love and I was too much. And I asked her if she thought I was too much. And she said, no, I don't think you have too many issues. And I know now, like, that was a blatant lie to my face, that she did feel like I had too many issues. Thank you. And yeah, that my mental health was too much for people. And I feel bad now looking back on it, because it shouldn't have been on them to help me, but that's how the church set it up.
Yeah.
Was those were the people you were supposed to go to for help, but they weren't equipped. They weren't equipped to deal with a child who had been abused their whole life, and that the Bible had been used as a tool of abuse and was deeply mentally unhealthy because of it. And that's not their fault. I think it's church society as a whole and how they want to control so much. And it puts people in a bad position. So, yeah, I think it wasn't like individuals, it was what the norm of how we were supposed to act around it was treated.
That makes sense. That one was hard.
Buckle up, the guitars. No.
We're just in the thick of it.
All right. Let's move on to leaving then.
Mm-hmm.
So then came October 2021. October, I think. Yes. You were held at gunpoint at work and eventually diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety because of it. You probably had some underlying stuff already, but that didn't help anything.
It just brought it all to the surface.
Why did you feel that the church community was not a safe place to share that struggle?
At that point, we were on the verge of leaving.
Yeah.
Everything with the white knight happened, and we saw the community shun us, shunning her and me by association. And at that point, I no longer felt that I mattered as a person.
Yeah.
And that my spiritual state, if you would, was, and my struggles were being used as entertainment for others, and also being used to prop up their own righteousness, if that makes sense. it was a it felt like to me that if I expressed what I was going through, it was going to be, you went through that because you're sinning. You went through that because God's punishing you for not doing what he, aka we, them, wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to share.
And Sarah at the time was in a relationship with a man who was leaving his wife but had it left. They had been separated for a long time, but they weren't divorced on paper. And the Raft had a really bad reaction towards her because of that. Yeah, I 1,000% believe and agree with her that they would have told her that it was because of her own sin that happened to her.
I didn't make that connection until now. Yeah, I could see that. They would have been like, because you're in this relationship, this is why this happened to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was angry beforehand. Now I'm just like, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
That's the reaction that we had to that.
Right.
Because there was no help. And this, like you said, I probably had some underlying depression, something there. But after the robbery, I was having anxiety attacks almost daily, going to work, having to stand in the very spot that it happened, just re-triggering over and over again. And yeah, I shut down.
Yeah.
And it was like, I need to be safe. And that's why I didn't tell anybody. I guess I remember the day we finally went back after it happened, and you were looking at me like, are you gonna tell him what happened? Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
Not my business. I'm not gonna tell anybody about it because
Yeah.
she doesn't want to say anything. Then
yeah.
And so I think it's sad that at that point, because we were playing D&D, we had like 3 groups going at that point. It's sad that our table came to my aid more than I felt the entire church could at that point. Because I remember it's like we canceled D&D that weekend, and we just hung out with everybody, and they're like, if you need anything, let me know. And they're, Sarah doing okay?
Yeah. Well,
So,
it kind of goes back to like what I was talking about like not knowing what mental health was. Like, that's kind of how Sarah was. Like, she didn't know what was happening to her, and I had to explain to her. I was like, you're having a panic attack right now, or you're disassociating. Like, and at that, what were you, 30 at the time?
Yeah, something like that.
She didn't understand what was happening to her because that had never been a conversation in her life.
And the thing that I didn't know what was happening to me, I've seen her go through it. I've seen you go through panic attacks. I've seen it when you've dissociated, and I could just be there for you. I knew to wrap you up and give you some tea.
Yeah.
And like, I knew from an outside perspective what to do. For myself, I was floundering.
Yeah.
And like disassociating, I didn't know what was happening until she was like, are you back here? Come back. Hi. You good? And I was like, yeah, what was that? And you're disassociating. It's fine. You just don't feel safe right now. You're trying to find your safe space.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You ready for my surprise?
Oh my gosh. She told me earlier that she has a surprise question for me. So now I'm like, what is it?
Do you feel that society's normalization of violence against women of color allowed the church to dismiss your PTSD as just another thing you were expected to stay strong through?
Oh,
I'm proud of myself for that one.
that one's layered. But yes. because there's layers of that. And I think one, as being a Black person, anytime we go through anything, any violence that goes against a Black person, it's just kind of like, oh, that's tragic. And we don't get nearly mad enough for these things.
Yeah.
And it just becomes normal, which it shouldn't, and then swept away. Look at what's happening around us right now.
Yeah.
That just reminds me of, in the last couple of years, lynchings have been happening again.
Right.
And they've been saying, oh, it's just suicide. No, Black people don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't hang ourselves for suicide. I think we'd rather take a bullet.
Not in public parks.
Yeah. And what? There's 3 or 4 different incidences that I've heard of.
Yeah.
Happening in the last couple of years that, oh, it's suicide.
Or it's Black on Black violence.
Or, yeah, Black on Black. No. And then on top of that, being a woman, violence against women. And we've already had conversations on how much the church puts on girls and women. And it's just like, oh, you just need to deal with it because you're not a full person, you're property easily. That's just another, they're just,
yeah.
She's just being dramatic.
Yeah.
I think that's also why mental health is hasn't been taken seriously.
Because men don't have feelings and women are dramatic.
Yeah. So yes, I think it was very easy, the normalization of society of violence against Black people, violence against women. The church just could easily be like, well, that's just normal.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
It's just the cursed world we live in.
It's just the cursed world we live in. Give a little floof.
Yeah.
But not actually go after the root cause of these things and stand up for women, stand up for Black people. Yeah. I also think that's why I didn't feel I could share that traumatic experience, because it would have just been deal with it.
Yeah. One more. You once said you didn't share your trauma at church because it would just be entertainment for them. How did that realization that your pain was a spectacle rather than a priority become the final nail in the coffin for your time in the institution?
She's getting good, guys. I think the final nail for me was how they treated you.
Yeah.
That was, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Because again, being a woman, you're just told to deal with it. When they're coming at me, I could deal with it.
Yeah.
When they were coming at you.
Yeah. I think what happened was that the trust was just broken. There was no trust left.
It wasn't even broken. It was burned down.
Yeah. So how could you trust anything after everything that had happened? Because it wasn't like, she says like it's an ostracization of me, but it's not just me that they said was lying. Sarah was there the whole time. I was never once alone with the White Knight. Sarah was always there. So it wasn't just me that they were treating as a liar, it was her too. And so how could we feel safe after that?
Well, I was like, and I remember having a conversation with a coworker, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable asking you to come with me because I don't think you're going to be accepted.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's why I don't think I want to go anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that realization was just like, this is no longer a safe space for me. And it was okay to walk away. That was the hard part, that it was okay to walk away. But yeah, I think that was it finally after everything that happened. And it was just like, I'm trying to hang on.
Yeah.
And it was just like, nope.
Yeah.
That was just one more weight on that chain that just drug everything down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that last sermon, which was just like, violence against women is okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's fine.
Yeah. So
Just be you didn't it happened because you didn't respect the marriage bed. I have one finger up. That's what I say to that.
the pinky. Yeah.
So that was a tough one.
Mhm.
That was a tough one. Any parting words?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. We tried to stay friends with Sugar Cube after we left. Sugar Cube reached out to both of us and said that she wanted to continue the friendship, even though we weren't Christians anymore. And I feel like I tend to try to I will drag a dead horse in the hopes that it will come back to life. And so I feel like me more than Sarah really tried to continue that relationship, even though her and Sarah were always closer. And a little over a year ago, I miscarried. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I really wish that I had been in the place to ask for more help from you at the time. And I didn't know how to. But that was the last time I saw Sugar Cube. And it was because I told her, like, hey, I miscarried. And we went and got coffee. And she made me feel like because I was not married, that I was in a relationship and I wasn't married, that I deserved it. That I deserved to have my baby fall out of me. And I didn't, even then, like talking to her, like I didn't understand like the depths of grief that I was going to go through from that. And I can't imagine if that's like how one person treated me, how an entire church would have treated me if I had gone through that in the church. Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
It's like, because we've been out for how many years now?
5 years.
5 years. How does the community that we have found now treat your mental health versus how the church treated your mental health?
I love the community. I mean, they're not perfect and we're all trying to figure it out together, but there's so much like support in it. And then if you don't have anything to give, everybody's like, I'm sorry, I can't hold this for you right now. And I think that the ability to be honest with each other about what we're able to take and what we're not able to take, and being open and being like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I don't have the space to carry this for you right now. I'm sorry. Has just given all of us a lot of freedom of like being open with each other and being very honest with each other. I also feel like if it wasn't for this community, I would still be on like my antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. I was on antidepressants and anti-anxiety for a few years, and that stuff messes you up too. You know, it's just a band-aid on a bullet wound, pretty much. But our community has shown me like there's so much beauty in sadness and grief and mourning, being able to understand just how loving of a human being you are. Like, you can't know how deeply you love until you're grieving over somebody.
Even if that's somebody you didn't get to meet.
Yeah. And it's made, like, it's hard going through it. After my relationship ended, I really grieved that baby. And that's like the most depressed I think I've ever been. But it's like different. It was so different than any other time I've been really depressed. And it was because I wasn't like trying to force my way through it or pretend that that's not what I was feeling or be like, oh, this is bad. I need to not feel this way.
Because it's a sin.
Because it's a sin. Yeah, I really let myself feel my way through it and experience it and acknowledge it and thank it and thank myself. And I don't think that I would have had the strength to do all that, to experience myself unmedicated without this community telling me how beautiful every experience is. And I even recently, an old friend reached out and said, hey, I'm really depressed. Do you have any ways of helping me get through it quicker? And I said to him, I said, you can't. You have to feel it. And how beautiful of a human being you are to feel that deeply. And I wouldn't have been able to tell him that if Gail hadn't told me that. So yeah, I love this community. It's really special.
Yes, Gail's one of the ladies that we meditate with.
Okay.
Yep. We're ending it there, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Another Statistic. Each episode, we aim to explore the profound shifts that occur when we bravely step away from inherited beliefs and embrace new spiritual awakenings. This path from Christianity to witchcraft and spirituality is one of constant evolution, marked by unique turning points and deeply felt emotions. We understand that mental health is a big thing for a lot of people, and that if you're struggling with it, don't hesitate to ask for help. And if you have a story or just need somebody to talk, you guys can always email us at jastatistic@gmail.com or connect with us on social media at Just Another Statistic Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. We're curious about what you're struggling with, what you care about, and how our podcast has inspired you.
Your voice matters. Your presence matters.
Your existence
matters. And every day that you're here and sharing your story, it helps build our vibrant community for those who feel like outliers or just another statistic. Don't forget to follow us and our podcast to stay with us on this journey. And if this episode brought you value, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks, guys.
Love you.